Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Toon review once again for tonight's show, which is, of course, previewing Newcastle United versus Fulham on Saturday, which kicks off at 3 p.m. Our matchday live show, of course, starts at 2:30 p.m. when we are hoping to get the returning Billy Trey back in front of a camera. So hopefully we will put on a good display for Billy's welcome back show. But if you do enjoy this one, please do give it a like. And of course, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, please do subscribe. As I say, we are well on the way now to 36,000 subscribers. And of course, support the channel in the usual two ways, which is membership. That is the join button underneath me and Alex. And of course, super chats. That's the $sign in the live chat, which will guarantee your comment to be read out on the show. And of course, thank you again to Mamaroo Records for sponsoring the channel. Based in Whitley Bay Town Centre for all of your musical needs, your vinyl CDs, music merch, sport merch, gift cards, the whole shebang. If you can't get into Whitley Bay, check them out online. That is pinned at the top of the description. Good evening, Mr. Stato.
Good evening, Paul. Good evening, Magpie Massive, and everybody in Viewerland.
Yes, indeed. And well, as usual, Alex, towards the back end of a transfer window and everything else that goes with it, Newcastle United have been active, but active with players leaving, of course. Miggy Almiron confirmed today at Atlanta United. I mean, that was going to be confirmed anyway. That was going ahead. A video from Newcastle United for his send-off, which I am ashamed to say that you got emotional over. However, also young Jamie Miley, a permanent deal to Hartlepool. So he's gone on a permanent, not a loan. So interesting one for Jamie Miley, Alex, because we were impressed with what we saw of him in pre-season.
I mean, I'll answer your question, but I feel the disrespect there to gloss over the Miggy transfer and talk straight about Jamie Miley is disgraceful on your part. But I'll answer your question.
Bugger Jamie off. Miley, they pull me into a bloody gravestone, matey. I am just saying. You know, everyone knew Miggy was leaving. Everybody talked about Miggy leaving for the last week. But Jamie Miley, no.
A Rhinebacker for
yes, you do that.
Miguel Almiron leaving. Jamie Miley, yes.
Shameful comment from you, Stato. Shameful.
I'm quite sad. I'm quite sad to say. I'm quite sad to see. And this is no disrespect. I mean, what league are Hartlepool in again? I completely can't remember.
The old Conference League.
National League.
Yeah.
He's better than that.
I think he is as well.
Better than that. We saw him in pre-season, and he was holding his own in central midfield. He understood the system well, the pressing, the passing, physicality was okay. I don't really know how his loan spell went to a degree. I've not really gone and watched the appearances or how it was, but he's not National League standard, and that's no disrespect to the quality of the National League because it's quite similar to League Two and a lot of the teams in League Two. It's a bit of a bottleneck to try and get out of National League, but I'm sorry, I'm no professional, but from what we saw in pre-season, he's better than National League standard. I think that's a really, really big drop. And that kind of backs up what I was talking about last week with academy progression, in that when Man United and Liverpool cast-offs, whatever the word is, drop down, they go and play for championship sides or they move abroad. Ours don't even make it in the top four divisions, seemingly, which is really concerning.
Well,
really
the only thing I can think of, Alex, is that he's struggled a lot with injuries this season when he's been at Newport. Didn't get as much game time as he thought he might because of being injured for so long.
He's far too good for the National League, sure.
Well, if I mean, look, only the future will tell us that. And if he performs really well for Hartlepool, and he could be a big part of a promotion for them, and get back into the Football League. And then, I mean, he's still young. He's got an opportunity there to get regular first team football. He doesn't have to move out of the area, of course, and so there's benefits to the move. But it's a strange one, I have to say. It is a very strange one because I think I agree with you. Weird. I think he is better than National League standard. But anyway, Abs has just put in the chat that she agrees with you about disrespecting Miggy. You know what is? There's a surprise. that Abs disagrees with me.
Go on, Abs.
Yes. Look, he's gone. It's confirmed, Alex. What would you like to say? I did actually tweet out that on X that I did, wish him well, and thank you. Nobody could accuse him of not putting an effort in, and thank you and good luck for the rest of you. No, I'm not. No, nothing like that, Alex. I am simply just saying I put it out there saying good luck for the rest of your career. So there. So sod yous all. We have a new member of the channel, Chris McG. Welcome to Members Club. And thank you for your ongoing support, my man. Go on then, Alex. What have I missed out that
Thank you.
Put in?
It was a wild ride. It was the first time we broke our transfer record at the club since we signed Michael Owen, which was quite a big thing for us. We were signing somebody who was a creative outlet, a 10, pacey, exotic, and we expected big things. The first couple of games when he played for us, marauding through on goal, seemingly hitting the post all the time in the early few months, but he looked like he could have something special about him, especially for the level we were at that point as well. The work rate, the smiles.
Oh, why did you mention the smiles?
Because it's important.
Because
it's part of his personality.
That is the only thing that people are going to remember Miggy for. Well, he tried and he smiled. That's it.
Am I allowed my bit, Paul? I was quiet when you did your bit.
You just shut your face. I honestly, it's...
He scored the first goal back for us in 20 years in the Champions League that started the sheer decimation against Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League.
And as I said to you before the show started, Alex, he is also one of the reasons we didn't qualify. Because if he bothered to use his right foot for that simple tap in against Milan, instead of letting it come across him to tap it in with his left foot, we would have scored a goal there. Why he didn't tap that ball in with his right foot, I will never know. But that, we should have been.
And my reply to that is the referee on the Tino Livramento handball is the reason we didn't qualify.
Yeah. But we should have been in that position. We should have been through already. Bollocks to it. Listen,
you could argue Eddie Howe threw the kitchen sink at AC Milan, and that lost us not going through to the Europa League in third place. There's many things that could have happened. I'm sorry, but if we're going to put it down to Miguel Almiron's right foot, that is really unfair because he doesn't have one. Thank you very much, Miguel Almiron. You were a pleasure for a very long time, and you will be missed.
In what way will he be missed, Alex? Because he's not good enough.
It's still sad.
Why will he be missed?
It doesn't matter. It's still sad. He's a player. Look, when certain players leave, I wasn't as bothered. When Kieran Clark and stuff left, I thought his attitude and his ability and everything was just completely off it. And players of that kind of nature, whereas Miggy has tried. And he's won the hearts of a lot of the fan base. And I don't see the issue with we want to respect people who have tried hard for the badge. We want these people to, this is the reason why you've got players like Demba Ba and Papis Cisse, and even players from 10 years before that and 10 years before that. They love the Northeast, they love the club. And I want Miggy to be able to come and visit and be loved and feel like he's a Geordie. Like that's the whole point, right?
Yes. But it was his time to move on. And that's what...
it was. I agree completely. It was time. It absolutely was time. It is the time. We can still be grateful for some of the positives, though.
Look, I've said, and I tweeted out, I think, I said thank you for your service, and he did a very good patch for us. But look, he's not good enough now, and the time is to move on. And Abs, you can call me classless all you want. It's not classless. It's my opinion. Whether you agree
let's
with
be
it
honest,
or not,
Paul,
I don't really care.
If we measure it with what it was meant to be, it was a purchase around the time we had Rafa Benitez still in charge of the club and Mike Ashley, and we were trying to progress from relegation fodder to try and stay in a more stable position in the Premier League. So I think he's done very well as a player to raise his game and help us to where we are now. He's had to, obviously we didn't buy him as a player who was going to be a European challenging player. We bought him as somebody to try and take us away from relegation fodder. So I think he's done amazingly well to progress. Similar to a Fabian Schär and stuff, they were purchased in a different era for a different challenge, and they managed to step up adequately to help us on our journey. I think that's really important.
He is David Webster, a man who loves to pull me under all the time. You have to laugh at Paul, says David. Spends half his YouTube career calling Miggy a headless chicken, then calls out other people for not respecting him. Then 5 minutes later, can't even let Stato have a say. David, I know you live a very lonely life, probably, mate, right? Okay. And, you know, I don't know what it is with you and why you have a go at me so many times, mostly when we're not live, I have to say, when you leave your little cheeky comments. But by the way, I call Miggy a headless chicken on the football field, right? That's not disrespecting him. That is calling him a headless chicken because he acts like that most of the time. Many Newcastle United fans have called him a headless chicken over time. So don't call me out on it, matey. And, spend half my. I mean, dear God.
Paul, stop taking the bait, mate. Stop taking the bait.
I'm not. No, this man always has. He likes to, get it.
But I've got them as well. I've got people that don't like me. Billy's got people that nitpick at him. Sam's got people. We've all got people that nitpick at us.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
But I'm going to have me say it back, Alex. I'm not going to let him dictate anything. But there you go. But thank you for your comment, David, as usual. Chris says, all right, lads, massive fan of the show. Ex-season ticket holder, moved out to Dallas. NUFC Academy playing in a tournament in April out here. Any Toon Review fans out here want to go drop me a note? There probably will be,
God,
mate.
I'd love to go to Dallas to watch football. How amazing would that be?
Texas. Very hot in the summer, I believe. So it might be a bit sweaty. Joel says we bought him with the ideal scenario being to finish 10th.
Exactly, yeah.
Jilly says, I will miss Miggy. He was there when we needed him. Sad he's gone. Look, I appreciate what Miggy did, okay? Let's be serious about this. I appreciated him sticking around during the shitty times, right? And the way he got used by Steve Bruce and all over the place, and he stuck by the club, and I will be very grateful for that.
Misused, I think.
Misused, yeah. And never really played in a proper position. So I will always be grateful to Miggy for that. And on a serious note, I thank him for his time, but his time is up and he's had to move on. But that's simple as that. Mr. Bradley says, harsh, Paul, have you never made a mistake or two? I know I have. I declare of Premier League football. I wish I could have done what he has. Why is everyone going over the top with this tonight? I don't understand.
I think it's because you've got slightly less sentiment towards the situation than a lot of other people, and I think it's irking people a little bit. And I get it, because I'm a little bit more sentimental than you are with this situation. But yeah, it is what it is. Everybody's different.
It's like you said, Alex. Right? You don't feel the same way as other people when other players leave. Okay, I don't feel that with Miggy. I appreciate what he did, absolutely, etc. But I don't feel the same way as a lot of fans do, hailing him as some sort of legend. He's not. And this is what I don't understand.
Dare I say it, I'm more sad about Miggy leaving than I was when Maxi left. Completely. Like, I'm genuinely a little bit more sad now because it's like, oh, it's come to an end. It's quite sad. Whereas with Maxi, I was a little bit more frustrated because I thought we were selling somebody in their peak and we were doing it for PSR. This is a little bit more... it is a little bit more sentimental.
Hey, anyway, when he had that purple patch, he scored some fantastic goals for us, okay? Absolutely brilliant. The one at Fulham stands out a mile, with the little one two with Bruno. Magnificent, right? So, he did score some great goals for us.
Grealish. Oh, I'll tell you what, if Jack Grealish publicly said goodbye, I'll be gutted. Like, he's got to do that, surely.
Yeah. Trevor says only thing Miggy has is his head looking up to the sky while ignoring what his feet are doing. Ash says, I think Billy, Sam, Alex, and Paul are great. I screw the haters. Yeah, we get haters all the time. Ab says Miggy is a headless chicken. It's time for him to move on. But the decent thing to do is thank Miggy for his efforts for our club. Have I not just done that?
I think you put that before you.
That was at 7:15, Alex, which is literally a couple of minutes ago. So yeah. God, never mind. Frieden says, Paul, Miggy is not a headless chicken. He is a smiling headless chicken. Anyway, just Matt's been with us for 9 months. Thank you, mate. Hi, Paul. Great to continue to support the channel. I have had the good news of cutting back on some of my bipolar medication. Fantastic, mate. Well done. Keep fighting and keep the spirits high, my man. Yvonne says Miggy had a good life and played with heart and soul for the Toon, and he was also paid handsomely for his endeavours. So it was a win-win all round. However, time waits for no man.
I feel like we're walking a fine line here between describing him as not alive anymore or he's just transferred. Like, okay.
Andy says people are going over the top because you're being completely dismissive of him. I think it's shocking, to be honest. What, me dismissing them, or
Just, Paul, stop. Leave the fishing bait alone. Put the hook down.
Everything's a fishing bait on this channel, Alex, as you well know. I mean, listen, look at this. He's gone to a better place.
Atlanta.
Oh, God. God forbid I have a different opinion to people. Jesus wept, honestly. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Anyway, Sean Longstaff, Alex.
About Fulham.
Not yet. Sean Longstaff. Now, as we've just seen on an article in, it's called Everton News online, and they have said that Everton is somewhere that Sean Longstaff would be interested in going, Alex. Now, the fee is rumoured, if it does happen, to be around 10 to 12 million quid. I know there's a few Newcastle fans not very happy with that, but at the same time, if we did sell Sean Longstaff, it's pure profit.
Yeah, so you mentioned this is from Brogan Clasper?
Yes, Brogan Clasper is his name, yes.
Who is a little minion of Graham Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
Where have you heard this? Brogan? Is that how we saying your name? Brogan?
Yeah, I did.
Brogan. I'm going to call you Brogan.
Yeah.
Have you had a chat with Sean, have you, mate? Where are we getting this from? You're in the Northwest. Where are we getting this? We're getting this from...
Well, I'd love to know.
Chats or
are
we in the knowing? Couldn't give a toss. Couldn't give a toss about that story specifically from Brogan. But in terms of whether it would be a good deal, this potentially fictional deal, if it's got legs, I said this the other day, I feel like 12 is a bit shy. I would be wanting more for Sean. I think Sean is a Premier League proven player in the peak of his powers age-wise.
Yeah.
Has a good injury history. He's always available. And I think he would suit a lot of teams, probably mid-table to lower half. I think maybe even slightly better than that as a rotation player. Yeah, but I think 12 is a bit low. I think we're getting taken for a bit of a ride there. I'd want 15 plus.
Yeah, I think 15 is definitely around that price. Yeah.
12's not enough. But for something a bit more, I'd definitely entertain that.
Yeah. Predator says no room for sentiment. Miggy wasn't good enough, served a purpose once over, but club and team outgrew his abilities. Bide to Miggy and enjoy the rest of your career. We've got a super chat from Chris Lunt, who says, I'll miss Miggy and his eyebrows. Gary Clark says, guys, it is possible to see both. Was it time for him to move on? Yes. Will I miss him? Yes. He was a ray of sunshine in some dark days, i.e. Mike Ashley. And I did say that. So I agree with that comment there. Popple Mag says Longstaff might be poor, but we need him for the rest of the season at least. Ben says he's played Champions League to Sean's surely more than 12 million.
Yeah, he's definitely worth more than 12.
Nathan says, Longstaff is a lower half player. He would be like a standout in the Championship and would fit in most Europa League sides. He's got to play somewhere, definitely. I mean, it's just that we again, such players, it's maybe time to sort of move on.
He's fine.
Now, I know a few Newcastle channels have put out today that Matt Targett, his move to Leeds United is imminent. That isn't the case.
Imminent? I mean, that's a big word.
there was a few channels put that out today. However, Ben Jacobs and other people have reported that Leeds United are not expected now to make a move for Matt Targett. So whether that's just to put people off, and we'll see what happens in the coming days before the window closes. Time will tell. Marseille now interested in Lloyd Kelly as well, Alex. So you've got interest from Juventus and Marseille.
The Naughty Boys Club. Oh, we're not allowed to call it that, are we?
Well, you just
that
did.
French team. Well, yeah. I mean, put up or shut up. I don't really want to lose Lloyd Kelly because I think he's good age, good experience, good technical player, really good backup, can play in a couple of positions. I think he's decent. But if somebody is willing to put up some good money, the fact he was a free transfer, I think it would be really good for us to reinvest. But obviously, I think out of the two, Matt Targett to go would make more sense because Lloyd Kelly is more versatile, a bit younger. I think it would be better to retain Kelly and get rid of Matt Targett. But it does completely depend. I'd like to keep Kelly if possible, but if people start throwing around 20 odd mil plus, I mean, it gets quite tempting because we could reinvest that significantly.
Well, again, the fact that we paid nothing for Lloyd Kelly is it's huge, isn't it?
Well, there would likely have been. I would be shocked if there wasn't some kind of signing on fee, bonus, or thing that I would imagine counts towards PSR. So it's not completely free, but it would definitely be way better than selling somebody we've just bought. So yeah, definitely.
Longstaff is better than Mason Mount, according to Joel. Well,
he is based on availability.
Well, he hasn't kicked the ball in. Well, he has, but he's been back for a couple of games, injured again, back for a couple of games, and mental, really. Ben says, I could see Sean going to Europe, maybe Italy or somewhere with a slower game tempo. Well, Scott McTominay went there, of course, Alex, from Manchester United, and he was being written off by all the Man United fans as not good enough, etc. And he's having a whale of a time with Napoli. Top of the league, absolutely flying.
Yeah, it's almost as if he wasn't being played properly and there was a good player in there. I mean, this is kind of testament to everybody who was saying that I don't think he would be a terrible idea for us. And there's so many people just shot that down as a stupid kind of opinion or viewpoint. Look how he's doing for Napoli. There's definitely a player in there. You just need to use him properly. Napoli are absolutely flying. Are they top of Serie A at the moment? I think
I'm pretty sure they are, mate. Yeah.
I know Atalanta were having a good run, but I think they've dropped off a little bit in the league. But yeah, that's why you've got to sometimes take maybe the player out of the squad that they're in now, and you've got to understand this might be context to why there's limitations or things not working in the club that they're in. It might be the atmosphere, toxicity. I mean, I'm basically just describing Manchester United at this point. You guys get the drift. It might be the wrong environment for them, the wrong manager, the wrong training, the wrong formations, tactics, roles. You go and plop him in a different team, and all of a sudden he works really well. I mean, we've seen that firsthand with players that we've had to sell. Look at sort of Remy Cabellas and Florian Thauvans, who have gone back to France and been really good for a long time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just works somewhere else.
I mean, look, it's amazing how players can respond. I mean, the interesting thing for me, Alex, is Lloyd Kelly, right? We've seen him a few times for Newcastle, and a lot of Newcastle United fans have written him off and said he's not good enough. Yet a giant from Italy and a giant of France in Marseille, and of course Juventus, both interested in him. They must see something in him.
Absolutely. Well, I think people who are writing him off, and again, no disrespect to people that maybe don't quite, I don't want to say it. Okay, maybe being a bit more emotional with the decisions. Lloyd Kelly and players like that, you're going to need to give them a run of games and let them settle before you can see what they can really do. And Lloyd Kelly's never had that opportunity at all so far at the club, and is being used as a backup. And it's one of those things. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean he can't have a run of 10 or 15 games for a Premier League side and look really good. I think he definitely can. He's just not getting that opportunity. And it's pretty obvious that he's at that level. The fact that we've signed him in the first place, especially this far into the journey, we've signed him. I think it's because he's good enough. And then exactly what you said. The fact that this caliber of club are looking at him, these are clubs in Europe and clubs challenging for trophies right now. And they think he's adequate to go and supplement their squad. So I would rather choose the scouting opinions of Marseille, Juventus, and us than somebody who's seen Lloyd Kelly in 2 matches and gone, nah, not for me. I think it's pretty clear cut.
Joe M, thank you for your super chat. Drooling at the thought of a 70k seater stadium in the Leazes. Essentially same location, so city centre match day retained plus 20,000 extra Geordies in the ground. There is a lot of leaks coming out from somewhere, Alex, regarding these plans, etc., or what Newcastle United are looking to possibly do with the stadium.
But Mr. Hope.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it looks absolutely fantastic, and it looks truly special.
Yeah, I mean, you can put it up if you want. I've just got Craig Hope's tweets from today about this topic. So this is his first tweet. I mean, if you do want to read it, you're going to have to go and read the Daily Mail. Is it the Daily Mail? Yes, it is the Daily Mail. So capacities of St James's Park. There are. So there's talk. Am I wrong on this, Paul? That there's talk of there's 2 plans. There's a plan to add 7,000 seats to St James's Park and an expansion, and a plan for a new stadium. And these are 2 separate things.
Yep.
So he's describing the new build would be Leazes Park. Plans have 70,000 capacity. And then there's lots of talk of this bubble wrap design, Bayern-esque, the Allianz Arena. I think it's still called that. I guess it is.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if people have seen that when they're zooming out on Champions League fixtures. It's the big bubble one. Looks a bit like, what's that building in Birmingham? Is it Selfridges? It's that funny one in Birmingham. It's got bubbles all over it. It's that kind of design. It's a little bit funny. Might look a lot cooler on a stadium, but yeah, that's what we've got from Craig Hope and presumably some other journalists today. Yeah,
indeed. Peter McCardle says, I hope you have comfortable seats for Monday. You're going to need them as no one is coming in. Peter, you see, deadline day for us isn't all about just bringing players in. It's a charity day, mate. And that's the important side of things is what we're doing, Peter. Raising the money for the charities is why we do the 11-hour stream. If we were just bothered about deadline day, we'd maybe go on at 7 o'clock till 11 or something like that and cover the last couple of hours. But this is important. It's for very important charities close to people's hearts with the Toon Review. And we hope we can hit the $5,000 target this time around and go from there. So it's all about the charity. And why we do it. So to be honest, is it worth getting a numb bum for? Absolutely, it is. Yeah. Whether we bring anybody in or not is quite irrelevant, to be honest. For what we're doing it for. Chris at Evermore says Man United is toxic. So many players will thrive when they leave. Watch Rashford thrive when he goes. Rashford's an interesting one. Just weird.
It'll work for someone. Or it'll just rot at Man United.
Yeah, Cynical Jim says, you say Kelly was a free, but how much was his signing on fee? Well, it's not going to be as much as what we'd have to pay for a transfer fee. I guarantee you that.
You probably typed that before I said my bit, but yeah, we don't know.
I remember Remy Cabella away at Chelsea was absolutely world class, but that was it. I thought he had more to give. I really do. I loved Cabella.
He did. He did, because he went and played European and Champions League football consistently for the next, decade?
Years, yeah.
He's still playing. Somebody just said in the chat he scored yesterday for Lille.
He did. He's still playing.
He's been a good player for a long time.
He's in the Champions League with Lille, Alex. He's still going. He's playing really well.
Didn't use him properly.
Yeah.
We let that one go really badly. He's 34 now. God. Oh my God, his stats are actually really good as well.
I tell you. I don't think we play. I don't think we managed him in the right way.
He played in Russia for 3 years. When did that happen? Was I asleep? It was during COVID. He just disappeared to Russia for 3 years.
Listen, he's had a good career since leaving Newcastle. He could.
That. I wouldn't want to go and play for Krasnodar, to be fair. Yeah, but he stayed in France.
Yeah. He's had a good career. He's kept going. His confidence could have been rocked for his time at Newcastle, but it wasn't. He kept going, and yeah. Cynical Jim says, how's Billy? Will he be able to take part at any point? Well, he's back hopefully on Saturday, Jim. He's back home. He's recuperating well, and he seems in very good spirits. He's still not 100%, but he feels like he might be up to it for Match Day Live on Saturday. And then obviously we're not going to plonk him in front of a camera for 11 hours on on Monday. He's welcome to come on, and he knows that, so it's up to him what he does. Tom says deadline day is great just to hang out to. I'll be there for the whole day. Really looking forward to it. Peter says, I know that it was just tongue in cheek. We'll be donating. Cheers, Peter. Listen, I'm not picking up tongue in cheek comments very well tonight, as people have pulled me under the bus about Miggy. So yeah, whatever.
Give you a little breather, Paul. Let's just say, read Ball Geordies, because I was going to say off the back of that.
Let's smash 5,000 target and raise tins for TTR chosen charities. I cannot wait. Thank you, mate. Go on then, Alex.
Yeah, so for people, we've got a lot of people in tonight. We've got over 1,600 watching. So I know Paul does this as a standard, but please, if you can, come in on Monday. We are going to be doing an all-day stream for charity for deadline day. If you don't start work until the afternoon, pop in the morning for a bit. You know, come in after work. If you've got the day off, if you're not at work, or you're able to watch, pop us on. Even if you can't donate, then just popping in for a little bit just to help the viewer count will help push the show a little bit and contribute to the overall thing that we could do for charity. Essentially, it's going to help. So make sure you come and join us. We will have guests on. We'll all be chatting. We'll have loads of different people on. We'll be talking about transfers out, the squad, possible transfers in. We'll be keeping an eye on all of the Premier League, everybody that's moving around. So it's going to be a whole little thing similar to what it used to be like, you know, when you're watching Sky on deadline day. We're going to try and make it fun, but obviously considerably more relevant to us and Newcastle United as a club. So
yeah,
please
we'll talk about the stadium. We'll talk about transfers. We'll talk about,
and it's Monday.
Yeah,
UK times for anybody who's not in the greatest of Britons.
Guys, what I must stipulate is for the deadline day stream, it really, sometimes we get some fantastic donations, but it doesn't matter. What I mean by that is just give what you can. If you can't give, then don't. And if you're struggling with finances at the moment, don't. Okay, this is a charity stream just to give what you can. Yes, we're aiming to try and hit 5,000 because the simple fact is we have a lot of subscribers from around the world, and we like the little battles between the international countries for biggest donations and things like that. But it's just a case of just giving what you can, and that's why we sit here for 11 hours straight doing it, and then we'll just see how much we can raise. Please don't feel guilty if you can't either afford very much or you can't afford anything. It's not about that. It's just about enjoying the day with everybody in the community on this channel and having a good laugh, like Alex says, talking football, having a bit of banter, having a laugh, looking around to where all the transfers are going, talking about the new stadiums and everything like that again. So really looking forward to it and spending the day with you guys as well, because that's what it's all about for me as well, interacting with all of you guys and enjoying ourselves, basically. It's a long day, but it's worth it in the end. Right, let's turn our attention to Fulham then, shall we, Alex? Because obviously there is a game to be played on Saturday. Fulham are a weird side for me. They have been all season. You just don't know which Fulham side is going to turn up. But anyway, I'll let you take it away with the stats, and we'll see where we are and what people think ahead of the game when we do our score predictions. There you go, mate.
Oh, thank you. So, not quite as bad as Southampton, not quite as good as Bournemouth, somewhere in between. Fulham are doing pretty well so far this season. I mean, table-wise, if we go back to the table, they are the definition of mid-table. That was Manchester United, but they have since broken that record by going even worse, and they're further down the mid-table.
I feel terrible for them.
Oh, dearie me. So it is Fulham. 8 wins, 9 draws, 6 losses, 34 goals scored, 31 conceded. Fairly balanced. Absolutely no dangers of relegation, but they don't look like they've got quite the same umph as the Brightons, Bournemouths to try and upset the apple cart. They're just kind of maybe slightly behind that pack. Although doing better than Brentford, which is impressive, but I think Brentford are a very well put together side, recruited well. So yeah, absolutely nothing to be sniffed at. And let's not forget they beat us this season in the reverse fixture, and yeah, it wasn't very pretty. So we've really got to show them some respect and make sure we do our due diligence in this game. Stat wise, Raul Jimenez is the top scorer for them with 8 goals. Iwobi having a better season than I thought until I saw this yesterday, with 7 goals and 3 assists. He's on 10 goal contributions, the same as Jacob Murphy. Anthony Robinson with his 9 assists, which is why he is sneaking into everybody's left back team of the year ahead of Lewis Hall, which I guess is good for us because Lewis Hall's kind of going a little bit more under the radar. How the team profiles statistically in the league. Oh God, look at that. Look at that. Bang on mid-table for goals per match and goals conceded, which matches their league position. Clean sheets, 11th, average possession. So top half for average possession at 52.8. I mean, this is just going to be lots of 10ths and 11ths, isn't it? 10ths for shots on target per match, 4.7. I'd say that's a tiny bit low, but I guess it's not in comparison to top. Accurate long balls. Here we go. Something that stands out that we can all kind of guess what they're trying to do there. Obviously, Raul Jimenez is a bit of a lump, and they can hit a long ball. So fairly direct. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going up to the striker, but it's direct play sometimes. 24.1 accurate. This is accurate long balls, by the way. This isn't just booting. This isn't 24 instances of them hoofing it. This is where they've actually found a teammate. So that's quite a lot. So definitely gives an indication. That being said, they're still pretty good at accurate passes, so they can have reasonable control of a game. They're fairly technically sound. They don't just hoof it and hope. Less like Everton, they're a lot more composed and they can still play football. They've had 4 penalties awarded as well, so we've got to make sure we're really, really careful. Middle of the table for touches in the opposition box. Don't really care too much about that. Oh, here's another one that we've got to be careful of. Accurate crosses per match. Yeah, they are top of the Premier League for that by some distance as well. Yeah, so that is clearly what they're about. We'll have to be careful with that. So the fullbacks in Tino and Hall have got to be very switched on to trying to block the cross. If the cross comes in, everybody's got to be set. And additionally, we need to make sure the wide cover is out appropriately. Especially, we can't have happening what happened against Southampton. Dan Burn getting pulled out of position. Nobody's helping Lewis Hall. It's all gone wrong. And it's just a free header, essentially, in the 6-yard box. So we've got to be very careful of this. Corners, I would have expected them to try and... That's a bit weird. If you've got that many crosses, but you're down in 10th for corners, that doesn't make sense. Very odd. Defensively, they are actually quite good. XG conceded is down in 17th. So that's positive. You want to be further down that way with 27.1. Yeah. So they should have only conceded 27 goals. How many goals have they actually conceded? It doesn't say on this graphic. All right, we'll look at it. So I think they should be a little bit higher up than they potentially are. 5th for interceptions in the Premier League and 15th for tackles. So clearly more competent at being in set positions, blocking passing lanes, stepping up to intercept the ball, which again, very, very well drilled. Possession 1, it doesn't look like they're super, super high pressing. It does look like they clearly drop into a shape and they're very focused. They don't seem to try and, it's not like a Bournemouth where you're just getting absolutely swarmed. The rest of this we don't really care about too much. Should we have a look at the team?
Indeed.
I did have a Man United fixture up. Yeah, there we go. Here it is.
Yeah, they didn't play very well against Man. In fact, it was an awful game of football, to be honest. It wasn't the best at all.
Yeah, especially when you let Martinez score a goal. That's not
well.
Great.
It was a huge deflection. To be fair, that goal, wasn't it? It was again Man United getting lucky, shall we say?
As they always do.
Yeah.
A balanced team. I think some people would have suggested on paper this isn't overly strong, but it's working. Berg, however we're meant to say his name. I don't think anybody knows. I'm not sure his mother knows. We were looking at obviously signing him a while back, and we didn't. We looked at, was he meant to be the Shelvey replacement? I think he was, wasn't he? Have I got that right? I can't remember the timeline anymore. We didn't go for him. Lukic has been there for a while and has never really set the world alight, but I still think he's a solid player. This, I feel like, is there to be got at, but he's obviously performing fairly well. Emile Smith-Rowe, I think, is a very competent footballer and is thriving in being the main man in Fulham's system.
I think when he wants to be, Alex, there's a couple of Fulham games I've watched, and he's very much in and out of the game. You know, he gives the impression that sometimes his head's not in it. But when he's on it, he's superb. He's a really good player. But I think that's why
he's definitely down the pecking order in terms of that mold of player now. I think if you look at sort of Morgan, Gibbs, Whites and stuff, he's streets ahead of what Smith-Rowe is giving people. He's still fine his day though. He's really dangerous, and he cut us apart last time. So we've got to be respectful of that.
Yep.
Especially the space in between our. I mean, it's obviously Tonali is now in that space, so we would expect Tonali to give him a bit of tough love.
I think Harry Wilson's missing on Saturday, though, Alex. I think Wilson's injured.
Yeah, only there was a little injured sign there, so I don't know if that's to our benefit or not. We'll have to have a look at the other options. Iwobi is obviously, I feel like their version of a Joe Linton in that he's a wide player, but he's a bit of a chonk. He's physical. He's hard to get the ball off. He's got good experience, so he can be as much as people might not rate him. He's a very good player, and we know what Raul Jimenez is about. He's been in the Premier League for a long time now with Wolves and Fulham, so we've got to maybe try and get him to kick Sean again. Sean's not going to play, so who was on the bench? Who was on the bench? Oh, of course, it's Mr. Traore. Did he get injured? Oh no, it's because he got injured. So Traore. Muniz, Pereira, Tom Kearney. Yeah, so Pereira might come in.
Traore came on, Alex, and he was involved in that challenge with Martinez. You know, when Martinez jumps up with 2 feet in the end and stamps down. He did it again against Traore, and Traore just brushed him. He just brushed him aside, and Martinez went rolling around the floor like he'd been shot.
How many starts has Traore had this season?
I don't think he's had many.
Ignore Remy Cabella. What's his name? Adama Traore. There he is. I always forget he's Spanish. It completely it does throw you off in my mind.
Yeah. He was loaned out to Barcelona a couple of years ago, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah. How many starts has he had? He's had 11 starts, 22 appearances so far this season. So he's not been involved quite as much as he'd have hoped anyway. So yeah, people I'm scared of. Andres Pereira, he can be a very good player.
Yeah.
Muniz, I guess. Traore, so they've got some rotation.
Well, Kearney's an excellent player as well. Of course, we were linked with Tom Kearney way back when.
I don't know if he's going to play, though, potentially. I mean, what do the average positions look like of this setup? No, that's not average positions. Where's average positions gone? I can't find it. There it is. So they were a bit, very set. Very set.
That's why the game was very boring, Alex, to be honest, because Fulham set out like that. And
is that Robinson? Who's the 33?
Robinson.
It is Robinson. Yeah, okay. So you can see what the game plan is. It's basically, this is like the reverse Kieran Trippier back four, in that they have a settled back three. Robinson goes, and he's almost the furthest man forward, to be fair.
It's crazy.
Yeah, you can see what this is about. Play direct, maybe try and beat the press, run into space. So we've definitely got to be careful.
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, Alex, if Robinson's pushing that far forward, the way we go forward, we have an opportunity to exploit that down the right-hand side. You know,
it means Murphy's got to be at the races. Really got to be at the races. If that's somewhere we can get at them. In terms of recent form for Fulham as well, this is recent form. So there was the 1-0 loss to Man United. They beat Leicester. I mean, I feel like everybody should be beating Leicester because they were
unless you touch them.
West Ham 3-2. Was that with Potter? Don't know.
I think
I'm
so.
not going to click on it.
Yeah.
They beat Watford in the Cup. So they've been on a pretty good run, to be fair, throughout.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a fairly good run through Christmas and into January.
The one at Stamford Bridge on Boxing Day.
But yeah, of course. You know, I mean, there's some really good results in there. I mean, I think the benefit for us is it is at St. James's Park. I think that will help significantly. But we do have to be careful because this is a team that are quite happy to soak up pressure. They can get set very well. They can counter very well. They can be very direct. So we really have to account for that. We can't be caught with our trousers down with far too many people up because it does happen to us sometimes. So got to be careful with it.
Yeah. I think if we go out with that sort of attitude that we did, a performance of Bournemouth, Fulham will beat us because I think they have, they are quite good at exploiting teams. Nathan says, Paul, I'm off. I'm not feeling very well. Have a good rest of the show with Alex and at the Toon Review. Good night. Take care, Nathan. Get better soon, matey. Get yourself a good night's kip. Chip says, I think we are owed a performance after the one down at Craven Cottage. Yeah, I read a comment earlier saying that someone was there and they were shouting that they were chanting the Fulham fans 3-1 and a long way home. So it would be nice to hopefully be beating them 3-1 and we can sing it back to them this time around. Right, let's take a look at how Newcastle will line up. Now, the big thing is, Alex, again, is the centre backs. This is the decision that I mean, is this what you want to see, Alex, by any chance?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the rest of the team for me takes care of itself, doesn't it? It's pointless discussing the rest of the team because I don't think he changes anything about the midfield or the front three or the fullbacks for that matter and goalkeeper. It is the centre backs. Who does he go with? You've gone with Botman and Byrne. I tend to agree with you, Alex, because I think Byrne has done enough for me to keep his place anyway. It's Fabian Schär. Out of the three, out of Byrne, Botman and Schär is looking pretty much way out of form compared to the other two, isn't he?
He's just making mistakes. Positionally, he's getting caught out with speed as well. I think Botman is making fewer. Well, it is a small sample size since he's come back, but feels like, and obviously he did actually make that mistake. Okay, so maybe I'm chatting nonsense, but I feel more comfortable with Botman starting and with his pace and with his physicality, just all of it. I would be a lot more comfortable having these, because in terms of creativity, fine, we might be losing Fabian Schär's long balls. But I'm sorry, but if we maybe put those lads up in the creative bracket, maybe a little bit of Tino, but he's a little bit off that at the moment, and then these lads can just be solid, that is enough players to go and make goals and do footballs. Like, if we're not scoring goals, then I don't necessarily care if one of my centre-halves is not being creative, whatever. Like, I'd rather they did their job, the defensive job first. We've got more than enough talent further up the pitch and on one of the fullback sides to be contributing with goals and being creative. So I just don't think it's worth it with how just dopey his play's been recently. He's been making a lot of mistakes.
Well, the thing is, that's the thing for me, Alex. He's been making a lot of mistakes. And if you listen to pretty much every Eddie Howe press conference, he always turns around and says that, if you don't play well, you won't be in the team. If you play well and you get your opportunity and you stay in the team. Now, for me, I think Botman was taken out of the firing line last week just to rest him because they've been very careful of him coming back. And I think they have in mind, Alex, what's to come in February, because I went through the February games in this morning's show, and, there's a lot of games, but against a lot of quality teams with a lot of pace in it. So I think we you've got Birmingham City thrown in the middle of that as well, away in the FA Cup. So I think Botman needs to come back in simply to get the engine going again, ready for these big games that we face later on in the month. Well, it's straight away, actually, because we've got the second leg.
I just want Botman to play all of the fixtures, to be honest with you. I couldn't be bothered with a rotational centre half. I don't care. Like, why are we rotating centre halves? I'd rather we played our strongest squad. At least trying to get us through to a Carabao Cup final, at least retain, because February is a really tough month. This is the business end of the season, and I want us to try and get our best team on the pitch as often as possible.
Yeah.
Is playing Fabian Schär when he's on form a better choice for the balance of this side? Yes, of course it is. But Fabian Schär is currently making a lot of errors, and is not as fast and can get caught out. I just think it's a safer option all round to use Botman if available. I get there are limitations. Well, I say limitations, wrong word. He doesn't have the same skill set that Fabian Schär's got, but he still can ping a pass. It will just be a little bit different. We might not get as many fancy switches out to Gordon, so Gordon might suffer a little bit. Sometimes J7 will go up there with him, and there'll be like little nice things that happen from Fabian Schär long balls, or maybe a nice ball over the top for Murphy. So there'll be things that we lose. But Botman can still play a nice flat pass through the middle, through the lines. He's got different things he can do. So,
I mean, I've seen a comment before,
rather...
Alex, saying that all our centre backs are slow. I don't agree with that, because I think Botman, when he gets going, he's quick, and he's proved that since he's come back as well. There's times where he's looked out. I think
people measure centre halves unfairly. I think people measure centre halves against the pace of quick forwards, and I think that's unfair. It's very hard being a centre half when you're asking them to be a meaty, commanding presence, but also be as quick as the speedy, nimble strikers. It's you can't have both.
No, you can't.
And if you do have both, they are like Van Dijk's in their prime and stuff. Like, you're not going to get that. They're very expensive to buy those centre halves. But I think Botman's the fastest centre half we've got at the club.
But let's not forget, Botman is 2-footed as well, Alex. He can ping a pass with right or left foot. It's not like he struggles on his right foot.
But his right foot is not Fabian Schär's right foot.
Well, no, of course it's not. But you know what I mean. It's quite a good option to have when he can ping a pass with right or left. And look, when he was in the side before, he was hitting some brilliant crossfield balls with his right foot. So he's confident on it as well. It's not like he doesn't dare hit a pass with his right foot. He's confident with it. So I think that's why I would put Botman in with Dan Burn. I think because Schär is so out of form.
I think we've got to be so careful against Fulham. We really have, because everybody knows how we play this now, how we do this shape. We went on a big run streak. It's a win streak. It's no secret that it's going to be, sometimes it's going to look a little bit like this, with the ball will all come out to Tonali, and then Bruno and Tonali will help each other play out, and then it will progress. But Tonali's the guy who will come back and help with sort of wide cover. Like, there's a clip of him coming back and stopping a cross, like here. Like, he's just great at it. He mops up and puts out so many fires. But Fulham are going to have accounted for this. They play in a 4-2-3-1. They did this last time, and they tried to get Emile Smith-Rowe in between the lines in this line. So they're going to have a game plan for Tonali, because they're going to know that this is going to be a problem. They might try and pull people out. They might try and just force it wide and really, really have a go at Hall and Livramento, who I think can be had at if you pressure them too much, because they're still young. You can force them into mistakes. I would be a little bit scared of the flanks, and I think we've got to be really, really careful about, Gordon needs to be helping in the right moments. Murphy needs to be helping in the right moments. And we need to have the adequate wide cover when necessary as well.
Well, the thing is, Traore might start the game, Alex. If Wilson's injured, Traore may well start the game. So, Lewis Hall's going to have...
If Traore starts the game, if I was Fulham, I would want him running. I would be pinging balls over for one-on-ones as often as possible. Because if Hall makes a mistake, Dan Burn suddenly got to beat Traore.
Well, that's it. If Hall poured up the field, then we're left with Dan Burn, and that will be a problem.
We're going to have to be...
Traore.
I'd be, and I'm sure Eddie Howe will have planned for this along with the coaching staff. I'd like, if Traore starts right wing, then Joe Linton's got to be around to help and go and absolutely clatter Traore in the first 15 minutes and make sure, look, you ain't getting past our lad. We've got the right cover. We've planned for this. And similarly to that, we can't have Tonali getting pulled out wide too much, and there just being loads of space in between the lines. Like, people have to really read the situation. Bruno's going to have to play that, which he normally does really well. Everybody's just got to be a lot more focused. I think this is one of those games where we are better than Fulham on paper. We are better than Fulham in reality. But if Fulham come with a really good game plan, they can beat us. So we've got to plan for every potential option. But they've got weapons that can score goals against us, and we could lose this game if we don't address it properly. So
I'm not sure. Jopadoni says the Botman is overrated. I'm staggered by that, to be honest. But never mind. Opinions, absolutely. But there you go. Anyway, get your scores in the chat, guys. Very eager to see how you guys are feeling ahead of this game, and see what you think the score might be. Chris at Evermore says, I'd like Tino and Bruno rested for Trips and Miley. Keep them fresh for Wednesday night. Steve says he would love to have Clivert. Yeah, he's got to concentrate on the league as well, though, Chris. That's the thing. But
this is losable if we take our foot off the gas.
Yeah, that's the worry. Lots of wins coming in, 2-0s, 2-1s, 2-0s. 2-2, says Steve. But another 3-1 from Terence, 2-0 from Tyson. Fubar says, can anyone else remember the game when one of our players tackled Traore and he took a dive and you could hear our player shout, F off, look at the size of him. Yeah, he does like to fall over a lot,
Probably
though, Traore, for the size of him. He does tend to just sort of topple over, which it's sometimes
because he's oiled up so much. He just slides off people.
Yeah, he loves the baby oil, doesn't he? Yeah, he should be in another industry, the amount of baby oil that he uses, but that's another show. Anyway, Alex, what's your prediction?
I think they will score. I think they will have a game plan, and they will force us into some kind of error, or they'll have done their homework enough to get a goal across the 90 minutes. But I'm going to back our lads at home to be creative enough and to throw the kitchen sink more than enough to get sort of 3 goals. So, you know, I went with 3-1 against Southampton, and I was bang on the money with that. And I think I'm going to go with the same. I'm going to go with the 3-1 at home.
You've never mentioned that, Alex, you know.
It's actually the first time I've mentioned it since we've been live.
Tonight. Yes, I've gone 3-1 as well, Alex. I totally agree with you. I think Fulham may well score. You know, we just, every game, we seem to have that little switch off at the back where we let the opposition get in. And I think we were very lucky against Wolves at home that they didn't exploit that more. But Bournemouth did. And then we switched off against Southampton, of course, and conceded that goal. So I think 3-1 as well. Like you, I've got very much, a lot of confidence in certainly the midfield and front three to go and do the job and get some goals. And I think we'll come out. I think we'll come out the traps very quickly against Fulham. We, get back to how we were.
Just out of curiosity, then. I mean, just for a sec, just humour me. Do you want to put the graphic back on screen for a sec?
Mm-hmm.
I want to entertain Chris at Evermore's resting theory, because there's other players you could suggest this about. Obviously, is the Birmingham City fixture the next game after this?
No, it's the Arsenal one.
Oh, it's the Arsenal. Oh, God, I'm getting my games mixed up.
It's Arsenal, okay, then Birmingham at the weekend. So you've got the Premier League, Carabao, then FA.
Okay, I'm getting my fixtures mixed up. Yeah. If it was Birmingham, then you might think he might, for the Birmingham game, obviously rotate, and obviously Nick Pope's going to be available. Have we got Nick Pope? Where's Nick Pope gone? Nick Pope, there you are.
You stuck him way up there, Alex. Yeah,
get back, Nick Pope. You're available now. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think we do want to throw the kitchen sink at Arsenal, but it's difficult, isn't it? Obviously, best case scenario is we're absolutely flying, and at sort of 50, 60 minutes, we can take off all the big hitters. We could take off the front three. We could take off Bruno. That would be ideal, but it depends. Obviously, we've got all of these players that could then be involved in the midweek game, but I kind of prefer our strongest 11 in both of these, but I don't know. Eddie Howe doesn't particularly like rotating anyway. He just seems to keep the same squad until they all get really far too tired.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, we went to Tottenham, and then a few days later went to Arsenal with the same team, and they won both games. So it could well be that again. And then at Birmingham, yes, I don't
get rest, haven't they? This
week? I said this morning, Alex, I don't think he rotates as big as he did against Bromley. I think there's a few little changes he'll make, but he won't be taking. It won't be changing. We'll do that
in the preview for that game. But yeah, Birmingham City are not Bromley. They are a much bigger club, and they are very much used to winning in their league as well. So they'll go into this fairly confident, trying to take a scalp.
Yeah. By the way, Gary Clark sent in another super chat as well, saying, spot on, Alex, players are humans, not computer algorithms. All those human things affect human players. So thank you for that. There you go. That is it for tonight, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm back again at 11:30 tomorrow morning with the latest Newcastle United news. And of course, we'll talk about the press conference as well and what Eddie had to say to the media ahead of the game. TTR Fridays then back at 7 o'clock. So we'll have a lot of best way to start the weekend, guys. A bit of football banter. Get you guys on as well, live on the show. And see how you're feeling ahead of a very, very big week coming up for Newcastle United. That's for certain. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your super chats and memberships. Thank you, Mods and Alex. But again, the massive thanks goes to you guys out there. Thank you very much for tuning in again tonight. And thank you to Mamaroo Records as well for the continued sponsorship of the channel. If you can't get into Whitley Bay to see Steve in the shop, check them out online. That is pinned at the top of the description. But thank you very much for watching. We'll see you all again tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your evening, folks. Good night.
Away the lads and lasses.
Come back and check how she breathing.
Ah!